So welcome to the call, everyone. My name is Chris Lopez. I'm an Emerald Director with USANA, been with USANA since November 2003. And what our team motto is for every call is build it big and build it permanent. The idea here is that all the training we do, all the resources we do, the way we work with customers, the way we work with associates, it's all about building it long term. And we do that by giving people good value, by helping our customers achieve their health goals or maintain optimal health with using the USANA products and providing good customer service. So we want a big business and a business that'll be around for, not years, but I look at it as decades and decades of residual income. We do that by having fun, by helping people, and if we do all that, we will make some money and we will build a good USANA business. So the first thing I want to ask you, I'm going to start really drilling home the 7 habits with everyone. I know I've been doing that a lot with the Are You Walking the Walk? Well, walking the walk is one of the 7 habits, making sure you're using the products. But I want to make sure that people are focusing on the 7 habits on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, and actually doing those habits. And it's one of those things where you can't teach all at once or just do one night, but if you consistently do it, it will lead to results. It's not a clear roadmap, but I promise you if you follow those, good things will follow. So you can check the previous training call for all the details on there. And a new person new team member to IG, we'd sent a few messages back and forth on Facebook, and he wrote, I asked him a question about coming to, I think it was last night's training call, and he wrote back to me, he goes, I'm in the habit of conference calls and webinars, so I should be on every single call. So I like seeing that. It was nice to see that the 7 habits are getting ingrained in some people, and that you guys are starting to talk like that as well. So I know I'm going to butcher your name. I apologize, but K. Samji, and I probably completely mispronounced that. I apologize. But nice job on being aware of those habits and starting to practice those habits. So I hope everyone out there is doing the same thing and encouraging your team to do the same thing as well. Lead by example in doing the 7 habits, and then get your team into doing the 7 habits as well. And one of those is making sure they come onto our weekly training call and get them plugged into the various USANA resources and our YouTube and Facebook page for just more training and more connection throughout the week while they're building their USANA business. So here's a slide I grabbed from last night's slides, and it's really what I call the training funnel. And I'm going to focus this call on exactly what I do to train new associates. There were some questions on that last night as to the exact details or the checklist that I take people through and how to train my new associates. And I gave a few hints about it last night, but there wasn't time nor was the place to go into detail. So I wanted to take this call and go into detail for what I do as I train my new associates. And the interesting thing is when I sat down and really forced myself to map out what I did so I could teach it and put it in slideshows, I realized there's a few things I'm doing that I've learned over the years, but now it's just so ingrained to me that I do it without even thinking about it. So I think there'll be a couple new takeaways you can get from this conference call here. But if you're not familiar with the training funnel, the whole idea is just like a marketing funnel. People will come in through the top, and then each stage throughout, different people will move forward, some will drop off, and some will stay in that stage for a while until they move forward, or they'll stay in there forever. Same thing with training, and same thing with building our USANA business. USANA is made up of everything from customers to associates, basically customers who are associates who refer people to the products, or who are customers and sign up to help a friend out with getting platinum pacesetter done, to people who enjoy the social aspect of it, to people who want to make $500 or $1,000 a month to be able to do a specific thing in their life, to the serious business builders. So one group isn't better than the other. It's just the way people are. And of course, we're going to have more customers, then we're going to have, top associates in the company. It's just the way the numbers work. So you'll have people start phase 1, and then some of those people will go to phase 2, and an even fewer number of those people will go to phase 3. So as you train someone, if someone is having success, or they're happy where they're at and they don't have that desire to move forward, you can't force that person to move forward. I promise you, no matter how hard you try, you cannot make that person go through USANA training and go out there and execute with USANA. I've tried that a few times, and there's a few holes in my drywall from me banging my head against it. And the reason I can't give you an exact checklist for how I train my new associates is that training is fluid. And I mentioned this on last night's call, but think about the zigzag goal setting method that we've talked about the last 2 years. Well, training someone and training a new associate from when they're a brand new, baby in USANA to when they're, a full associate on their own, you're going to zigzag through with helping that person out. Just like you're zigzagging with your own goals and your own USANA business, your team members will be doing the same thing. And as you coach them, as you mentor them, you're going to zigzag with them, and they're going to zigzag with you. So this is the reason why I stick away from giving strictly defined checklists now, because it either gets the associate who's a sponsor kind of caught up in knots where they say, well, I have to do this and this and this with the person before we can do anything. Or depending on the new associate you're training, I look at all that and say, oh my gosh, I don't want to do all this stuff. I'm not going to do this business now. To everything in between. So I'm going to give you a few guidelines on here and about 6 or 7 steps that I do with myself and my new associates as I train people. And I'm going to shoot through these topics fast, so if you have questions, post them to YouTube, post them to Facebook, and I will answer those either throughout the call or towards the end of it. So step 1 is you have to ask yourself what your new associate's goal is. So I'm going to stick with my imaginary new team member from last night, who happened to be named George. So, I've talked to George a few times. I know his goals for why he wants to start a USANA business. He started his USANA business last night, and I got a feel for what his goals are. I know what he wants to do with USANA. And by goal, I mean, you're kind of going to put people into 2 different categories. Are they going to be a builder? And a builder is someone like you or me who's on this conference call who wants to build USANA into a significant income, into a significant business. Or are they going to be a product user? Are they going to be a referral product user, or maybe just to refer a friend? Or they're just going to do a little bit here and there and try to get their products paid for free? And so if someone's in that second category, the product user, product referral, I'm going to train them different from how I'm going to train a builder. So for the product user referral, I really don't do anything specific with them, like have them go through phase 1, having them subscribe to Integritas, have them go through eApprentice. It's just too much. They're not going to do it. I mean, some might, but overall, most won't. So this is where you just have to use your judgment. You know the person, you know what products they're using, and maybe you send them a few videos off of the Media Center, or now that USANA has the videos on YouTube now, you send them a few videos off of their YouTube page, and you put them on your email list as you email out your team or your customer updates. And that way they're getting emails, they're plugged in, and you've kind of told them, hey, when you got questions, give me a call, here's how you access your account, and you just give them some basic stuff and you stay in touch with them. And so they don't even really go into the training funnel. I guess they would actually be one step above this phase 1 as far as this training funnel is concerned, because they may go down there one day, but they're just going to be product users up here. Like I said, not everyone's going to go through the entire training funnel. Now, if they're that other category, the business builder who wants to build a significant income, you're going to move on to step 2. And I think when people ask, how do you train new associates, they're really talking about this business builder. So step 2, and this is one of the things I realize that I've been doing subconsciously without even thinking about it. It's so ingrained in me now. I'm identifying their personality type. And I'm not going to go into great detail into the personality profiling and personality typing on this call. There's a lot of different trainings out there on it, and a lot of them are very similar. And in the sales and communication course that Jason is recording this week, he's going to go into great detail on here so you know how to use it for getting customers, getting associates, and training your team. But before I even start training the person, I identify their personality profile. And there's really 4 main personality types or personality profiles, and these go by different names. I like the color system. That's how I think about it. So up here you have the red, and the red are the hard chargers, want to get things done, very task-oriented. A lot of times they're like the CEOs or the hard chargers, and they'll basically walk through walls on the extreme end to get what they want. And a lot of times they're very direct. They're not too worried about every single detail. They're not too worried about making sure everyone's completely happy with the language they're using. They just want to get things done and get the job done and move on to the next thing. The other category in the lower left is the blue personality, and these are more there's one training course I went through, and they identified the blue people as promoters, and I like that word for them. They're people who they're persons people or people persons. I think it's people persons is what I'm trying to say. They're usually into having a good time. They enjoy recognition, and they're not so focused on getting things done and running people over. And these are a lot of times what people call the dreamers. Like, people will start a business or start USANA business, and they'll say, oh, I want to do all these wonderful things. I got this and this plan, this plan, this plan, this plan. So they get things done. They can be scattered, but they do accomplish things if they stay focused on there. And part of the challenge of training a blue or a promoter personality is making sure they stay focused on the immediate task and not letting their heads get too far up in the clouds, so to speak. And I mean that in a polite way, where I'm sure we've all had the people we've sponsored or we've talked with who have all these grand plans, but then 2 weeks later it's something else. Then a month later it's something else, and things always change. That's probably a promoter personality. So a lot of times they're great connectors. They can sell. They communicate well with people, but we want to keep them focused, and they're definitely not detailed oriented. And so these are kind of the people where you'll have to kind of just point them in the right direction. And if you can imagine a ways to, as they start going forward and doing action, you're going to guide them along the way. And as they get customers, as they get associates, you're going to have to kind of take a more proactive stance to making sure that those people they sponsor or get in the business are taken care of. Then you have the yellow personality. And these are, again, they're very focused on peoples, and these are the very emotional, feel-good, want to make people happy, don't want to cause any ripples in the wave, don't want to cause drama, and they really care about people. And so this can be great because they will, a lot of times, these are the best people to actually take care of customers and make sure people are getting great customer service, great associate service, because they want to make sure that the person they're talking with, the person they're working with, is understanding it and having success with it and feels good about it. And the last personality type is the green personality, or the analytical type. And these people are usually very detail-oriented. They like to know all the facts. A lot of times they want to know all the facts before they do anything. And these are the people where you can send them a 20-point email, and they'll go through that entire email and then respond to you a week later with 30 questions on the different topics and videos and clarification of things. So a lot of times they won't move forward until they understand stuff and know the information. And so the reason this is important to understand is that, let's say the way you would sometimes train a green person or get them started, if you were to take that 20-point email you'd send to a green person and send it to a blue personality down here, the blue personality would look at it and be like, holy crap, this is long, I'll get to it later. Well, guess what? They never get to it later. Um, so those people, the blue personalities usually is where you have to kind of send them one or two things at a time to keep them focused. Hey, get this done, or hey, accomplish this, or hey, let's sell 10 resets this week. And it's more of a bite size or spoon feeding that personality. So they're kind of the opposites there. So I kind of give you the extremes of all four of those personality types. And usually people aren't on the extremes. A lot of times they're like one primary color and one secondary color, meaning that they have both of those in there. So it's usually like red and green, red and blue, but not red and yellow. So the ones opposite to each other usually don't happen too much. But blue and yellow, blue and red, green and yellow, green and red, a lot of times they have their primary and secondary colors. And so the reason I identify this is it helps me to know how to train the person, get them through the information, how to make sure they execute, and if the person starts to not execute or not build USANA, I know how to call the person out and whack them over the head with a 2x4 to help them get focused and do some work. So again, we'll go into more details on this in later trainings. So after I've done that, and that's just what I usually do mentally with myself, what type of person are they, and then what's the personality profile type? That's what I do mentally because I already have talked with the person a few times and I know where they fit. And the first thing I have them do is actually go through phase 1 training. And the phase 1 training really focuses on some key USANA points, matching bonus, now since it's a lifetime matching bonus USANA has, the basics of generating income and getting their business up and running by getting some customers and some associates. Now, the vast majority of people I sponsor, I have a phone conversation with them. I say, hey, go through phase 1 training, and when you're done with it, call me back. And that's what I'm doing now with people, and it's a very simple thing to do. There's probably about 5 or 10% of people I sponsor where I don't have them go through phase 1 training, but I still take them through it in the ways I talk with them or the way I get things done. I give them the basics on matching bonus and platinum pay setter and how to make money, but I won't necessarily have them go through the videos. And for me, that's a very rare case now where I do that because we've put so much time and effort into this training videos. My attitude, if someone's not willing to invest 56 minutes and go through his training videos, if they don't have the time for it, I don't have the time to train them. My time's a lot more valuable than repeating what's already in the video, and I can use that time to sponsor someone else who will listen. But not everyone, and that's kind of a growth as you go through USANA, so not everyone is comfortable with just saying, hey, go through phase 1, and if someone never goes through, you don't hear from them again, you know what? That's the training funnel. But where sometimes I don't have people go through that phase 1 training is I sponsored that gym in Northern California quite a few months ago. I think it was in April or May they got started. And so that's obviously a little bit different situation than what a new associate in the more traditional sense would be, because they're going to incorporate the products in their training program and their group training. They're going to retail it and they're going to sell it to their customers. And so they're using that as a way to increase their gym retention and increase their overall gym income. So I didn't have them go through and watch videos, but the people I'm working with, I still did a few trainings there or gave them a few points and made sure they had the ideas down of 20 customers equals this amount of income. And I got the key people there, like the gym owners and the gym manager. I made sure they got platinum done. I didn't go into details with them. I just said, hey, look, there's an 8-week deadline that we need to accomplish. If we get accomplished, we can both make more money. And so we just have to get this number of trainers on before then. And so that was my explanation. And they said, okay, because they're more that promoter, the blue and the red personality, where they just want to get things done. And they're running their gym with 5,000 members and probably 50 employees. They got enough on their plate already. So have them go through phase 1 training, and the vast majority of the time, you'll want to have them go through the training on Integritas Group. And if someone can't invest the time on there, that's a red flag to you. But then there's always that case of a certain person you sponsor, a certain situation where you might take them through the training in a slightly different manner, but you'll still give them the information. And that's why I have that KISS down there at the bottom. Keep it simple, silly. As reminders, don't complicate things. Make sure people go through phase 1 training in one form or the other. And I highly recommend you to have them go through the training videos in the Integrative system. And yes, I have people go through phase 1 before anything else with eApprentice or anything else USANA has. And I'll explain that in another slide. So once the new associate goes through phase 1 training, I'll say, let's say I sponsored George last night. He's enrolled, and hey, you'll get your Pro Pack, probably on Friday in the mail. You'll get an email from USANA. Now I want you to go to Integrative Group, go through phase 1 training. When can you go there and watch those videos? It'll take you about an hour to go through. And just write down any questions and thoughts you have. Oh, you can do that by Wednesday. So, hey, let's catch up Wednesday night at 9 p.m. So this is our step 4, our first real training session, that first planning session. So I'll go through, make sure George understands matching bonus. And again, if you've watched those videos, we don't go into great detail, but it's enough to get someone's interest and so they understand it. And I'll make sure he understands it and see if it's something he wants to pursue. If he does, great. If he doesn't, great. Just make sure you two are on the same page. What questions do you have? You watch the videos, anything stand out to you is really cool, anything confusing to you, what stood out to you, what questions do you have? Now here's where the real training starts. This third bullet point I have is I'll say, okay, I know you've looked through some USANA information as you started USANA. You've been through a couple training videos now. We've talked a few times. So I'm pretty sure you probably have some ideas in the back of your mind or some people that you're thinking about that could benefit from the products that you may want to partner with the business. And everyone says, yes, I do. And I'll say, well, what ideas do you have and who do you have in mind? And so you just give me a few ideas. And then this is where if you have a promoter personality type, they may say, well, I want to, I want to do this and this and this, and I want to get this gym signed up and get this gym signed up and do this, which is all great stuff. I say great, we can definitely work on that. Hey, but before we do, we got to make sure we get just your 4 associates and get platinum pace hitter done. And that's where you kind of use those personality types and get people focused. And so after they share a few ideas with me, they'll bounce off a few ideas. I'll give my feedback. I'll say, okay, for that, those 10 people you're thinking about, I want you to write down their names and jot down a sentence or two as to why they might be interested in the products or the business. And just write those out in an email or a spreadsheet and send it to me. And that 4th bullet point is the action plan, which is how I end the planning session. So this slide just talks about kind of the action plan I set up with the person after that, towards the end of that initial conversation. Because I know what their goals are, I know what questions they have, I know what ideas they have, I know kind of an idea for what they want to focus on. And so this is where my experience as someone familiar with USANA comes into play. Now I may or may not have them go through USANA's eApprentice. I used EA down here for short. EA stands for eApprentice. So based on what they say, I may have them go through USANA's eApprentice. And the reason I have people go through phase 1 training first before USANA's eApprentice is because the eApprentice has a lot of great things about it, but there are a lot of just general things in there that I don't want all my people going through right off the bat. I want them to get accustomed to our training and kind of get the foundation for how we make money and how to get this going, because I think that's really important, and it gets them start off on that foot, and then we can use the eApprentice for those people where it's a good fit for. And that's just something I don't have a hard and fast rule I use it for with people, but it's just something you'll have to use your judgment on there. Generally, I say I'd recommend people go through it because there's a lot of great information there, so by default, I'd say have someone go through it. Now, based on what the person has said, I may recommend, hey, go through this marketing method and this marketing method. If the person's an athlete and they're in tip-top shape with 6% body fat, well, I'm going to have them focus on the health pack marketing method now rather than the reset. Because if they're out there, if he's out there with his triathlete buddies, well, he can just sample out some health packs from his professional pack to people, and the majority of people he works out with, they're going to feel a difference in their performance and their recovery. So I'll say, hey, one of the things you want to do this week also is go through that health pack marketing method. It'll take you about 2 hours to go through everything. Don't worry about every detail, just go through to get the exposure. And I may give people some more training as well if there's some specific, past training calls or specific articles from USANA's What's Up, USANA.com, or the YouTube channel. I might send them one or two things from there if it's on a certain celebrity or certain athlete or just certain topic. I'll have them go through that as well. And that's just where, based on that person's interest, you'll send them some information. And then what I started talking about in the last slide is I have them write down the people that are popping into their mind. And it might be a half a dozen, might be a couple dozen. I don't really care, but there's usually between 6 and about 30 people that people think of. And I say, hey, just write it down in an email or a spreadsheet with the person's name and a sentence or two as to why they want to do it. So for George, my imaginary new associate George, who I'm training, I would say, hey George, you know what? I want you to go through that the health pack marketing method. Click here and click here to access it in the system. And also, I'm going to send you an article off the whatsupusana.com about some triathletes who've used the products. It'll just be some interesting information for you. And then for those people you're thinking about, write them down formally so we've got something to work off of there so we can talk about them in detail and start doing things. And I always stress to people, don't worry about talking with people yet. We're not ready to execute and take action yet. Just write it down. We may or may not actually talk with all these people about USANA, but we have to get our thoughts organized first so we know what we're doing. And so that's the general gist of what I have people do in the first real training session. And again, depending on their personality, I may adjust it slightly. And so again, I'll say, hey, George, when can you get this done by? It's Wednesday night. And he says, well, I can get it done by Saturday morning. Great. Let's talk Saturday at noon then. And I'll write down on my list that he's going to go through the health pack marketing method, go through those couple articles off What's Up USANA, and he's going to send me that list of about a dozen people. So step 5, I just called this the Make It Happen call, because now we'll start taking action. Now, if you notice in that previous call, that previous action plan gave people, or gave George, there's just a few things to focus on. It's very easy to get down this path of having to go through all this training or do all this stuff before someone takes action. And that's why I'm not a big fan of checklists, because I think it gets people too focused on there, and we want to make sure people stay action focused. So the first thing I do is when I talk with George, hey, did you complete these things? And for arguments, or for example's sake, we'll say George did. I'll say, great. So I've got his email here with a dozen people he wants to talk with. And before I even start giving my feedback, I'll say, okay, you went through those articles, you read the health pack marketing method. Do you have any ideas on how we could introduce your fellow triathletes health pack? And after watching some videos, he'll probably be like, yeah, you know what, I've got a few ideas here. I think I could just sample them out to people. I've got an extra health pack in my pro pack, right? Yeah, you do. Well, let's sample out, 7 days to, 4 people. He says, okay, great. And so as he starts talking about the ideas he has, I'll help him come up with a plan, and that's this bullet point here, this word tracks and outline one, on what to say, what to do, because, again, every person he's talking with is going to be slightly different. And so some of those people he might be sampling out health packs to because they can use the benefit from a customer standpoint or from an athletic standpoint. Now, if he's got a friend he wants to talk with about the USANA business, obviously I'm not going to have him go sample out a health pack to him. It's usually not the right lead-in. So we'll come up with a different plan for either to give him some information, have him read a book, review a website, or maybe just call up his friend and say, hey, look, dude, doing something, you got to check it out. I'm working with someone. Let me introduce you to him for 20 minutes. Let's grab a cup of coffee next week, or let's do a three-way call. So I'll coach him through those first dozen people that he talked with me about. And then we'll have the word tracks, we'll have the outline for what we're doing, and then the call's over. And part of the action plan, aside from actually talking with those people and sampling out the health packs and going through any additional training I may want to send them through, I may send them through the e-apprentice now just to, kill some stuff in his downtime, or kill some time if he has it. I'd say, hey, take all those people and put them in the generate page so we can stay organized. And so we'll say, okay, let's touch base on, say, when can you start talking with these people? So you know what, we're all going for a long bike ride tomorrow morning, so I'll bring out the health pack and I'll print off this stuff, and I'll call my friend Sunday night. Hey, great, let's catch up on Monday then. So that's the action plan. So then step 6, are they executing? This would be my Monday night call. And for my example timeline, this would be 1 week from when after George has enrolled and he's already out there talking with some people and doing some activity. And this is a very realistic timeline because I kept things simple, I kept things focused. And I say this because this is where the rubber starts meeting the road. A lot of people out there say they want to do something, or they want to build a USANA business, but a lot of those people aren't actually willing to put the work in there. And that's for everything from, achieving goals to working out to everything. So if George did everything that we talked about, hey, great, just keep going with him, keep training, then start working with him on the follow-up, on what to say with those people while they're taking the health pack for the week. If there's a few more people on the list, have them start going through that. And you keep the training from there, and you just keep doing a little bit at a time. And you have, with the goal in mind for him, is he wants to get his 4 associates and 20 customers, especially the 4 associates in that 8-week timeline for matching bonus. So you stay focused on there and do bite-sized trainings and spoon feed them along. If the person didn't do the training, well, why not? And is it a legit reason? Hey, there's a family emergency, or I had the health packs in my backpack. I started talking with people, and my hands got so sweaty. I got so nervous. I almost threw up. Okay, he tried, but then he had, he got a mental block there with talking with people, or maybe we can do some role playing to get him over that. Or if it was just, yeah, I didn't get around to it. I'll get around to it this week. Okay. If someone doesn't have a legit reason for doing something, I generally follow the 3 strikes rule. If they get 3 strikes in a row where they haven't done anything and it's kind of BS reasons, or they always have an excuse as to why they can't do anything, I move on to someone else. I don't spend time with that person. Again, you can't push your rope. So I either focus my time on sponsoring someone else. I'm not rude to the person that I'm moving on from. I'll let them know if they call me or if they talk and say, hey, look, hey, so-and-so, like, it just seems like a habit's developing here where, the last 3 weeks, on Monday, September 1st, we said we're going to do this, this, and this. And they haven't done by September 7th, then the 12th, then the 20th, and nothing's happened. Like, to me, it shows to me that USANA is not a major priority to you, or something else is going on. So I'm not going to work with, I need to focus on people who are doing stuff. But I want to let you know I have this concern that, hey, you've got all the talent here, you need to build the business, but what's stopping? Do you really want to build this, or what's the deal? And that's kind of where you have a little bit of a, hey, what's going on conversation. And like I said, if it's a legitimate reason, you adjust. If it's a family emergency, hey, have them deal with it and get them back on track the following week. If they were very nervous about talking with a person, well, guess what? I'd probably spend a half an hour and do some role playing with the person. I'd say, okay, George, tell me what you said there, or trying to say, and what happened. And I would role play with him so he's comfortable with it. And so that, in the gist, is how I start training my new associates. And George Fox does the same thing. And I actually told him not to worry about tonight's call because he's gotten quite a few new associates on board the last couple of weeks. And he's actually, I think, just wrapped up one's platinum last week and working with another platinum done this week. So he's, completely focused on that. So I told him, hey, keep training, keep sponsoring. I'll do the call tonight. But he's actually out there doing all this stuff I just talked about. And the people he's training right now, a lot of them are the different personality colors. And again, one is not better than the other. One is not that you need or you don't need. It's just people will fall into those different categories, and you need to be aware of kind of what personality you are and what personality type the person you're training and talking with is, so you can best help them out. For example, on that gut check call I was just describing about in the previous slide, I do a very different gut check, strike three and you're out conversation versus for an analytical versus a blue or versus a red, and the analytical is a green color. The analytical, I'll write out a long email for them. Even though I hate writing out the email, it's the best way to communicate with them. I'll write them out an email and send it to them. I go down point by point on what they said they would do and what they didn't and what happened. And hey, you came in with this goal and that and this and that. What's the deal? And I'll just send the email, and usually the person marinates on for 3 or 4 days because they digest it, they read it, and they're generally looking for the information. The goal of that email is to not, be rude to the person or make them quit or anything like that. It's just to let them know, hey, I want to help you out, but you're not holding up your end of the bargain. What's going on? And a lot of times that gut check is what a person needs. Now for, blue or red personality, I'm not going to send them a long, detailed email. I'll keep the conversation much shorter, be more direct, and use like a competitive angle or use kind of a punch in the gut. Just, hey, dude, what's going on? You're not going to do this? You're telling me you're going to let some person with half of your background actually have more success with you in USANA than you're going to. And yeah, I would say that's one of those personality types because I know it works for them. So again, we'll go into a lot more training on those personality types, but they're very important. So as you start training people, you'll keep pushing them down through the training funnel from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3. And the last thing I'll wrap up with is the 7 habits. And this took me a while to learn the best way to teach people, like the principles, the habits, what to do, what not to do, just those things out there that we all learn and we all need to do to have success. And I've tried in the beginning to, making detailed training or long training calls or ebooks with all the information to where I force the person to go through it. But the problem is it's too much information and they don't understand it. So with things like the 7 habits, which I really believe are the core things people need to do to build their business, with those 7 things, you're going to spoon feed them. And that's the bite-sized chunks I have up here. Hitting them with all 7 at once, you can quickly go through it with them, but expecting them to go into all 7 habits at once is going to be, they're not going to do it all at once. And that's fine. But I'll encourage them, hey, are you making the Tuesday call? And for the first couple of weeks, I'll have them on my email list. I'll text them a half an hour before the call. Hey, George, you're getting on the call tonight. Hey, are you doing that? And I'll help get them on the call, help them make sure they're doing that habit. Then maybe USANA sends out an email about convention. Hey, I forward them the email on convention and say, hey, any way we can get you out to convention this year. And you kind of just start introducing the concepts in bite-sized chunks to your downline. And of course, lead by example. I'm always amazed at how many people watch what you do and they really see what you're doing and what you're not doing. So make sure you're leading the 7 habits and let your team know about it just through activity, through updates, and they will most likely follow your example. And use third parties for this. Between the resources we have here at Integris Group and all the wonderful resources at USANA, there's plenty of information that you can forward around, email, send a message to start dripping the information on there and getting them the 7 habits. So that wraps up kind of new associate training there. What I take people through, my thought process behind it. So if you have questions, post those into YouTube or Facebook. And I want everyone to answer this question as well. This is a You Develop chart where the more you do personal growth and professional development, the more your income will grow. Well, have you been doing at least 15 minutes per day of personal development? Whether it's listening to an audiobook, watching an inspirational video on the internet, reading a personal development book, attending an online conference call focused on development, whatever. Are you spending time every single day doing personal growth? And I'd love if people shared in the comment section a yes or no. I'd love to get a feel for what people are doing. And if you are doing it, say yes and do a short summary of what book you're reading or what activities you're doing, because I'm curious as to what people are doing. So I gave a recommendation out, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that if you're not doing any personal development at the moment, go out there and grab Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Even if you read it before, go back and read the book, because it will get you some more information and get your mindset going, and you can go from there. Or what I do sometimes, I go to Amazon.com and search around, or I go to my local library and I browse the books there. Depending on my mood, I'll do one or the other, and a lot of times I'll see books and say, oh wow, this looks interesting, and I'll sit there and I'll read about the book or about the author and see if it's something I actually want to read or not. So are you doing your 15 minutes of personal development per day? And if you have any questions and answers on what I covered tonight for new associate training, go ahead and post those. I will respond to all those questions. And while you're typing out those responses, I want to make sure everyone is plugged in. Do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up. It gives me some nice feedback and lets me know I'm doing a good job on these training calls. And a reminder to keep zigzagging. Keep zigzagging yourself and keep zigzagging with your team members that you're training. And then make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get plugged into USANA's resources. Get on our Facebook page, USANA's Facebook page. Whatever. Get plugged in and subscribe. All right, the comments are starting to roll in here. Let me refresh my browser to make sure I got getting everyone's comments. Okay, Jason Parker says, yes, I'm reading The Charge, How to Activate the 10 Drives That Make You Feel Alive, and listening to Life Masters daily in the car. And the Life Masters is the monthly audio program USANA publishes and puts out. And for those who don't know who Jason Parker is, he is he earned and won a silver medal in the 2006 Winter Games. And there's someone, you talk about goal setting and personal development. I played sports in high school and college, nowhere near the Olympic level, and I know there's a lot of head games in sports. And here's coming straight from someone who has really achieved one of the pinnacles for a lot when it comes to goal setting, and he's doing his daily personal development. And I'm willing to bet that he probably did that on a regular basis while he was training to win his Olympic medal as well. So there's Jason Parker, Olympic medalist, recommending The Charge, how to activate the 10 drives that make you feel alive. And Elizabeth Pasquale, she says, yep, I got the best of Life Masters at convention and was listening to it in the car. The takeaway was to set 3 goals for the year: income, rank advance, and one other from there, and then go and set goals for the weeks. So, and Elizabeth, let's see, this is great. And I think I don't know if it's her fourth or fifth time now that she's been a top 25 preferred customer enroller in all of USANA. So look at that. The first 2 people who commented on there are an Olympic medalist and a top producer in USANA. No coincidence that they're doing personal development on a regular basis. Thank you, 2, for answering. I really appreciate that. And Elizabeth, I know you posted a couple other questions on there on your website stuff. I'll email you back. I got your email on that. I'll email you back on that, since that's a little more technical oriented, and I want to keep the Tuesday call focused on USANA training. So I'm not ignoring your comments. I'll get back to you on that with more detail than I can do on the call right now. Okay, well, let's see some of these other comments come in. You are welcome, Elizabeth. So I think some people came on the call late, so they're probably a minute or 2 behind us in the playing of the video and the way YouTube streams it. So I'm going to hang on for a minute or 2, see what other questions or comments pop in here. But guys, or ladies and guys, please ask me questions on the training for the new associate training. Does that make sense? Was it confusing? Was it helpful? Are you training someone now and confused? Let me know. I want to answer those questions. And I know the how to train someone, how to train is very hard to teach. A lot of times it's easier just to see and observe other people that do it. I wanted to start this Tuesday call out tonight focused on this. And then starting very soon, I got to get a few things organized first. George and I, and so will Jason, we're going to start bringing team members, brand new team members, current team members on the Tuesday training call and actually do live training on there with things that we would normally do, on the phone together, where it's just the 2 of us. We're doing that live on the conference call so you can hear what we say, see what we do, and actually just watch the live training. And a lot of the content we were covering on the Tuesday calls, the walking the walk, the development stuff, we're going to touch on a few of those things, but we're going to start breaking those out into the short YouTube videos and some blog entries and Facebook stuff, so you can start. You can watch those when you want to, because those you don't necessarily have to be live for to watch. But the training calls, real live training, is actually really nice to watch live. And Elizabeth says to say hi to Aiden. He was at the goofy dog I posted on Facebook a few days ago with the Percosa bottle on top of his head. I'm very close to making that dog our team mascot and making him earn the product, making him earn his vitamins every single day. So we may have a new team mascot there, and maybe we can get USANA to sponsor him. And Jason, I don't know, Jason Parker, if you can pull some strings at USANA corporate with your athletic and sponsor connections, see if they need see if they can sponsor him too. And one of the things that I would recommend for personal development, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Jason Parker, he has a good fan page on Facebook, and I know you do some YouTube videos from time to time, Jason. I see them pop up, and I watch quite a few of them. where he gives some tips on mindset and training. And to me, it's just good, personal development and motivational stuff. If you want to, post the links on Facebook or YouTube here, and I'd recommend everyone, plug into some stuff putting out there. It's a great opportunity to get some different perspectives and get some more personal development. And Jason really, really knows some great material. He's too modest and humble to say so himself, but I've known him for long enough and heard him speak long enough, just us sitting around at the dinner table or on the phone, and he's got some great knowledge. So if you're able to plug into it and learn from him, he's someone definitely to check out. How do how do I get Aiden the dog to balance the bottle on his head? Lots of patience and practice. Um, Actually, that's not me. I balance the bottle on, but it's my girlfriend's dog, and she's a vet, so she trained the heck out of him to make sure he listened and did what she wants to do. Um, and yeah, maybe if we can actually sponsor him, I can start writing off the products I feed him and some other things. Not quite sure if the IRS will like that though. All right, everyone. I'm not seeing any more questions roll in. Actually, before we get off, Jason, post your stuff out here. So I don't have the links handy, otherwise I'd post it myself. I think your website's what, jasonparkerspeaks.com, or I don't know if you have a YouTube channel. But post that stuff or send it to me. I'll get it out to people, because if you're looking for personal development, Jason's a great person to learn from. All right, well, we'll wrap up this call. And next Monday night, I'm going to do another training call on Integritas Group. I did one yesterday. I'm going to do another one on Monday night. And the next one's going to be completely focused on just using the system. Last night I showed you some using the system and also kind of gave you some big picture logic stuff. Now that that's out of the way, I'm going to just do some more stuff on the websites, mostly the hub end, like how to set up your short form pages, setting up your page, going into some more detail on the logic behind it, how to upload videos, and making sure you have all that stuff squared away. So make sure you check out that if you want to start learning how to use that portion of the Integris Group system. And of course, next Tuesday we'll do another call, another USANA training call. And George won't be on with us next week because he'll actually be out celebrating, I think it's his mom's 90th birthday party in Michigan. So he'll be doing some work, but he's gonna be doing mostly family stuff next week. So it'll be me flying solo again next week, unless I can find a find a participant to come on the call with me to do some real live training on the call. If anyone's interested, send me a message on Facebook or post it on Facebook, and we can get in touch that way. So everyone have a great night, and we will see you next Monday or next Tuesday.